On Wednesday, June 14th, we commemorate the holy prophet Elisseus, Elijah, as well as St. Methodius the Confessor, Patriarch of Constantinople, Cyril, Bishop of Gortyna, and the holy martyrs of Estonia, the priests Basil, John, Artemios, and Nicholas, the deacons Vasili and Peter, the Presytera, Martha, and John, Theodor, and Anna. Regarding St. Methodius the Confessor, Patriarch of Constantinople. As for St. Methodius, he was born to wealthy parents in Syracuse of Sicily about the end of the 8th century. Being a presbyter, he was sent as ambassador to Rome in 815 or 816 on the behalf of Patriarch Nicephorus of Constantinople, who had been exiled by Leo the Armenian, who we celebrated on June 2nd. After Leo's death, he returned to Constantinople, but since he was a zealot for the veneration of the holy icons, he was immediately exiled by Emperor Michael the Stutterer to a fortress near Bithynia. When Michael died, he was freed for a short time, but then, because of his confession of the Orthodox faith, he was imprisoned again by Emperor Theophilus in a dark and foul-smelling sepulchre. Since this was not enough for the emperor's inhumanity, he commanded that 2 thieves be shut up with Methodius, and when one of them died, that the corpse not be removed. While the saint was imprisoned there, a certain poor fisherman ministered to his needs. Finally, when the church received its freedom under Saint Theodora the Empress, the saint ascended the patriarchal throne of Constantinople in 842. Together with the Holy Empress, Methodius restored the holy icons into their proper honor. This is commemorated on the Sunday of Orthodoxy. He governed the Church of Constantinople for 4 years and reposed in 846. A model of faith and the image of gentleness, the example of your life has shown you forth to your sheepfold to be a master of temperance. You obtain thus through being lowly gifts from on high, and riches through poverty. Methodius, our Father and Priest of priests, intercede with Christ our God, that he may save our souls. So in the icon of the Sunday of Orthodoxy, this is the patriarch that is standing beside Empress Theodora. Regarding the prophet Elisha. Prophet Elisseus, the son of Saphat, was from the town of Abel Melaul, and had been a husbandman. In the year 908 BC, at God's command, the prophet Elijah, anointed him to be prophet in his stead. This happened when Elisseus was plowing his land, having 12 oxen under yoke. Straightway, Elisseus slew the oxen and cooked them, using the wooden plow and the other instruments of husbandry as firewood. Then he gave the oxen as food to the people. Bidding farewell to his parents, he followed Elias, and served him until the latter was taken up as it were into heaven. This is on the feast day of July 20th. When Elisseus received his teacher's mantle and the grace of his prophetic spirit twofold, he demonstrated whose disciple he was through the miracles he wrought, through all that is related of him in the book of 4th Kings. He departed full of days and was buried in Samaria about the year 839 BC. But even after his death, God glorified him. For after the passage of a year, when some Israelites were carrying a dead man for burial, and suddenly saw a band of Moabites, they cast the dead man on the grave of the prophet. No sooner had the dead man touched the prophet's bones, than he came to life and stood on his feet. Mentioning this, Jesus the son of Sirach says, "He did wonders in his life, and at his death his works were marvelous. It is because of such marvels that the faithful have reverence for the relics of the saints." His name means God is Savior. The incarnate angel, the cornerstone of the prophets, the second forerunner of the coming of Christ, the glorious Elijah, who from above sent down Elisseus, the grace to dispel sickness and cleanse lepers, abounds therefore in the healing for those who honor him. The healing of the lepers is a reference to the king whose leprosy was cured when Elisseus cured him. The Gospel is according to the saint. From the Gospel according to St. Luke. At that time the crowd wondered at the gracious words which appeared out of the mouth of Jesus. And they said, "Is not this Joseph's son?" And he said to them, "Doubtless you will say to me the proverb, 'Physician, heal yourself.' What we have heard you did at Capernaum, do here also in your own country." This referring to the healing of the paralytic who was let down by the 4 friends. And he said, "Truly I say to you, no prophet is acceptable in his own country. But in truth, I tell you, there were many widows in Israel in the days of Elijah, when the heavens were shut up, 3 years and 6 months, when there came a great famine over all the land. And Elijah was sent to none of them, but on to Zarephath, in the land of Sidon, to a woman who was a widow. This is one of the great miracles of Elijah, for as long as he was in her house, their store of grains never ran out. It was like a never-ending jar. Unfortunately, even with that, the widow's son perished, and she considered Elijah a curse to her. And so Elijah laid on the child in the form of a cross, and the child was resurrected. And there were many lepers in Israel in the time of the prophet Elijah, who we celebrate today, and none of them was cleansed, but only Naaman the Syrian. Now Naaman the Syrian did not want to come to Elijah. He only wanted to wash in the river, but because he didn't do this, his leprosy was only half healed until he eventually came to Elijah and was fully healed. When they heard this, all in the synagogue were filled with wrath, and they rose up and put him out of the city, and led him to the brow of the hill on which the city was built, that they might throw him down headlong. Passing through the midst of them, he went away. This is to show us again that until Christ is ready to give up his spirit on the cross, none may stop him on his mission. I hope that you've enjoyed today's Spiritual Calisthenics. Have a blessed and wonderful day.